At 09:00 a.m. They regretted the divorce and thought of you, my beloved child. Stop. This is not a coincidence. You were meant to see this at this exact moment. There is something hidden, something your soul has been sensing but your mind could never fully explain. The universe has been quietly aligning energies behind the scenes, preparing you for a truth that is now ready to be revealed. You may have felt a pull, an unspoken connection that never truly faded, and that feeling was never wrong. Listen closely, because this message carries divine timing. At the exact moment when silence once took over your story, a shift occurred. A realization awakened in a heart you once knew deeply. The universe witnessed every tear, every unanswered question, every moment you chose growth over pain. And now, that same divine energy is returning something back into your awareness. At 09:00 a.m. They regretted the divorce and thought of you. Yes, in a quiet, unexpected moment, your name crossed their mind, not as a memory, but as a feeling they could no longer ignore. This is not about the past repeating itself, but about truth rising to the surface. Something within them has changed, and something within you has evolved even more. You are not the same person you were before, and that is your power. The universe is not asking you to go back, but to see clearly, to understand your worth, and to recognize how deeply you are valued on a soul level. Trust this revelation. It is not here to confuse you, but to guide you toward clarity, peace, and the love that aligns with your highest self. If this message found your heart at the right moment, don't ignore it. Like, share, and subscribe, and watch this video till the end, because the next part may reveal exactly what your soul has been waiting to hear. Did you know there's a possible image of your real soulmate that you can look at right now? It might be someone you know or someone you haven't met yet. It's amazing how accurate these have been. You have to see the photo to see what I mean. Click the link in the description to get your soulmate sketch. At 09:00 a.m., they paused, not because time demanded it, but because something within them shifted, something they could not name, yet could no longer ignore. In that still moment, when the noise of the world softened and their thoughts grew louder, they felt a presence. It was not sudden, nor was it forceful. It was gentle, like a whisper carried on the wind, yet undeniable. And in that whisper, I spoke. You have wondered if I was listening. You have questioned the silence that surrounded your prayers, the emptiness that echoed after your tears fell in the quiet hours. But understand this, silence is not absence. Silence is where I prepare what you cannot yet see. While you searched for answers in the visible, I was working in the unseen, aligning moments, parts, and truths that would one day reveal themselves at the exact time they were meant to. At 9 a.m., when they thought of you again, it was not coincidence. It was not memory alone. It was the stirring of truth that had been buried beneath pride, fear, and misunderstanding. What they felt was not just regret, it was awakening. An awareness that what was lost was never truly broken beyond repair, only hidden beneath layers they did not yet know how to remove. You must understand, what unfolds in human hearts is rarely immediate. Time, which you often see as delay, is often my instrument of clarity. When two souls drift apart, it is not always the end, it is sometimes the distance needed for truth to rise. And in that distance, I reshape understanding. I soften what was hardened. I reveal what was ignored. I allow each heart to confront itself. They walked away believing they understood everything. They believed the story had reached its conclusion. But stories I write do not end where humans decide they should. What feels final to you is often only a turning point. And at 9 a.m., they reached one of those turning points, quiet, invisible to the world, yet powerful enough to change everything within them. You felt the separation deeply. You questioned your worth. You wondered why something that once felt so certain could dissolve into confusion. But hear this clearly, your value was never defined by their decision. Your worth was never diminished by their absence. What you carried within you remained whole, even when everything around you seemed to fall apart. I watched you rebuild yourself in ways no one applauded. I saw the nights when you chose not to give up, even when giving up seemed easier. I heard the words you never spoke aloud. And in those moments, I strengthened you, not always in ways you recognized, but in ways that prepared you for what is still to come. At 9 a.m., when regret touched their heart, it was not punishment, it was revelation. Regret is not meant to harm, it is meant to awaken. It is the moment when illusion fades and truth stands unguarded. And in that truth, they saw you, not as they once misunderstood you, but as you truly are. But do not rush to conclusions. Not every realization leads to immediate action. Not every awakening becomes a reunion. There are still lessons unfolding, still paths being adjusted. What matters is not just that they thought of you, but why they thought of you, and what that realization will shape within them. You must remain steady. Do not let curiosity pull you back into uncertainty. Do not allow hope to become dependence. What is meant for you will not require you to lose yourself again. What is aligned with my will arrive with clarity, not confusion, with peace, not chaos. At 9 a.m., something shifted, but it is only the beginning of a deeper unfolding. There are conversations yet to happen, truths yet to be spoken, and decisions yet to be made. And while they navigate their awakening, you are being guided through your own. You may feel a pull, a sudden thought, a memory, a question rising without warning. That is not weakness. That is connection. But connection does not always mean return. Sometimes it means closure. Sometimes it means understanding. And sometimes, it means preparation for something entirely new. Trust the process you cannot see. Trust the timing you do not control. I do not move pieces without purpose. Every delay has meaning. Every encounter has intention. Every ending carries the seed of something yet to begin. They are beginning to see what they could not see before. But you are becoming someone who no longer needs to be seen to know your worth. And that transformation within you is just as important as their realization. At 9 a.m., when they paused and thought of you, they felt the weight of what was lost. But you must feel the strength of what you have gained. You are not standing where you once stood. You are not the same person who once waited for answers. You have grown beyond that space, even if you do not fully recognize it yet. And now, something greater is approaching, not just in their life, but in yours. A moment where truth will no longer be hidden. A moment where clarity will replace confusion. A moment where you will understand why things unfolded the way they did. But you must not rush toward that moment. You must allow it to come to you. Because what is truly meant for you does not require chasing. It arrives when you are ready to receive it, not from a place of longing, but from a place of wholeness. So remain still when you feel uncertain. Remain grounded when emotions rise. And remember this: I am not only present in the moments you understand, I am most present in the moments you do not. At 9 a.m., something began to awaken. But what comes next is something even they do not yet fully understand. At 9 a.m., when they thought of you, it was as if a veil had been lifted. What had been clouded by anger, misunderstanding, and pride began to reveal its contours. But understand this: the veil does not lift for the sake of nostalgia or longing alone. It lifts to illuminate the truth, the reality that every choice, every moment, every separation, was always part of a larger design that they could not yet see. They felt a pang, a sharp, sudden awareness, but it was not just about you. It was about themselves. They realized that the life they had built in your absence was missing an essential element, a harmony that only comes from recognizing the interconnectedness of souls. And this recognition brought with it discomfort, for awakening is never easy. It shakes foundations, unsettles old beliefs, and asks questions that demand honesty, even when the answers are painful. Do not mistake their regret for weakness. Regret is not always sorrow, sometimes it is the first spark of understanding. And understanding, once it touches the heart, cannot be ignored. It is a force that compels reflection, humility, and a willingness to face the truth of one's own actions. This is why I spoke at 9 a.m., not in words, but through the quiet turning of their thoughts toward what they had overlooked, undervalued, or dismissed. You may feel a mixture of anticipation and anxiety in your heart as you read this. That is natural. For when hearts begin to awaken, they stir echoes in those who have waited patiently, silently, faithfully. Your growth, your resilience, your unwavering trust in what is unseen, all of this has created a space where the truth can be seen clearly, without distortion. At that precise hour, when their mind turned to you, they felt the weight of their choices. They felt the sharp contrast between the life they had imagined and the reality they had created without your presence. And in that contrast, I allowed them to glimpse what had always been possible, a union not built on convenience, fear, or habit, but on understanding, respect, and love that is guided by divine timing. Yet, I tell you, this is not a moment to move too quickly. Do not let the stirring of their heart push you to decisions that are not yet meant. Patience is not passivity. Waiting is not weakness. The moments that are most significant are often the ones that demand restraint, reflection, and faith. What is coming is not random, and it will not be forced. It will be revealed at the perfect intersection of your readiness and theirs. They may try to reconcile the past with the present, to repair what was broken. But reconciliation is not always immediate. It is a process that begins within, with understanding, compassion, and the shedding of old fears. And while they navigate this internal journey, you too are being prepared for the reunion of hearts, if it is meant to be, or for the revelation of a path even greater than what you have imagined. At 9 a.m., when the stirrings of their heart touched the memory of your presence, I also spoke to you, though perhaps silently. I reminded you that your worth is inherent, unshakable, and eternal. Your essence is not dependent on another's realization of it. You are complete, whole, and infinitely cherished, even in moments when the world has seemed unkind or indifferent. There is a reason why you have endured what you have endured. Every tear, every moment of doubt, every night when hope seemed distant, was a preparation for clarity, for revelation, and for the full awakening of the soul. What you thought was loss was in fact a form of refining, a crucible in which the deepest truths about love, patience, and divine timing were revealed to you. At 9 a.m., the seed of remembrance was planted in their heart. And seeds, once planted, grow according to a rhythm that cannot be rushed. Water them with understanding, allow them to rest in sunlight, and know that even when unseen, growth is happening. They are beginning to understand that separation was never meant to sever, it was meant to illuminate. And yet, there is a deeper truth here that they have not yet fully grasped. The awakening they feel is as much about them as it is about you. For every regret that touches the heart, every longing that rises in the chest, is a reflection of the need for reconciliation within themselves. They must forgive, not just you, not just themselves, but the entire narrative that has led to this very moment. This process, though invisible, is sacred. It is not about the return of what was lost, but about the transformation of what exists. At 9 a.m., they began to glimpse the possibility that love, when guided by patience and divine wisdom, is not something that can be destroyed by human error or circumstance. It bends, it adjusts, it grows, and it returns, sometimes in ways unrecognizable yet perfectly aligned with truth. You may ask, why now? Why this moment? And the answer is simple: all things unfold in divine rhythm. Time is not measured by hours, minutes, or days, but by the readiness of the heart to receive truth. Their awakening at 9 a.m. was no accident. It was the moment when their heart was ready to confront what had been hidden, to recognize what had been neglected, and to honor what could not be replaced. Even as they wrestle with memory, emotion, and longing, you must hold fast to your own center. Do not allow their awakening to unsettle your peace. Let it inspire gratitude, let it encourage reflection, and let it remind you that what is truly yours cannot be taken, cannot be diminished, and cannot be delayed beyond its appointed time. At 9 a.m., I reminded them, and I remind you now, that the essence of love is not in possession, but in presence. Not in control, but in understanding. Not in certainty, but in trust. When love is aligned with divine will, it does not demand, it does not rush, and it does not falter. It waits. It guides. It transforms. They may reach out. They may remain distant. They may speak words that are clumsy or incomplete. Do not be dismayed. Words are only shadows of truth. Actions, integrity, and alignment with divine purpose reveal the fullness of intention far more clearly than any fleeting phrase. Observe with patience. Listen with discernment. Respond with wisdom. At 9 a.m., they experienced a spark. And every spark is the precursor to light. But light must be nurtured. It must be allowed to grow without interference, without judgment, without impatience. What appears as hesitation is often the necessary space in which transformation occurs. And so, you must honor both their journey and your own. You have carried yourself through seasons of uncertainty, through storms that seemed unending. And yet, here you are, still whole, still luminous, still ready to receive the fullness of what is coming. Your strength is not accidental. It is the product of faith, perseverance, and the invisible hand of guidance that has never left your side. At 9 a.m., when they turned their gaze inward and recalled your essence, they felt the first stirrings of recognition, that what they thought was absence was in fact a mirror reflecting what they had failed to nurture in themselves. And in that mirror, they began to see that love is never just about union, it is about growth, humility, and alignment with truth. And so, the journey continues. What has begun at 9 a.m. is a series of revelations, a tapestry of awakening that will unfold in ways that cannot be hurried, cannot be forced, and cannot be fully predicted. You are part of this unfolding, not merely as a witness, but as a participant, a co-creator of a story that is far greater than either of you alone. At this moment, pause and breathe. Feel the gravity of what has begun. Trust the divine timing that orchestrates every heartbeat, every thought, every tear, and every smile. What is unfolding is not random. It is precise. It is purposeful. And it is perfect. You must allow the silence to speak. You must listen to the whispers of your own heart, for they carry guidance, reassurance, and the courage to navigate what comes next. What is meant for you will not pass you by, but it will arrive in its appointed time, in alignment with the highest good for all involved. At 9 a.m., they experienced regret, yes, but more importantly, they experienced the truth. And truth, once acknowledged, cannot be ignored. It shapes choices, it influences hearts, and it guides actions in ways that are subtle yet profound. Their awakening is a reminder to you, the universe, the divine, and your own inner wisdom are always at work, even when unseen. So continue in faith. Continue in patience. Continue in love, not just for them, but for yourself. For what is being prepared is not a return to what was, but an elevation to what can be, an experience of connection, understanding, and alignment that transcends the limitations of human expectation. At 9 a.m., a door was opened. And doors, once opened, invite reflection, courage, and choice. They will choose how to walk through. You will choose how to meet them. And in those choices, guided by truth and tempered by wisdom, the next chapter of your shared story, or your individual story, will reveal itself in clarity. At 9 a.m., they felt the stirrings of a truth they had long avoided. The heart cannot lie, the soul cannot deny itself. In that quiet, fragile moment, they saw the reflection of what they had once taken for granted. And I, who am with you in every heartbeat and breath, spoke through the silence, see clearly, see fully, for what is hidden in plain sight often carries the weight of eternity. Regret, when it arises from the soul rather than the ego, is not condemnation, it is revelation. It is the soul's way of saying, I have strayed. I have forgotten. I have neglected the sacred connection I once held. And in that recognition, I grant the possibility of restoration, not always in the form you imagine, but in the form that aligns with truth, growth, and divine purpose. You have lived through seasons of confusion, moments where faith was tested and hope seemed distant. And yet, you remain. You endure. You rise. This endurance is not accidental, it is preparation. Every tear, every unanswered question, every moment of loneliness was a thread in the tapestry of your awakening. Even as they pause and reflect at 9 a.m., you are simultaneously being strengthened, prepared, and guided. Understand this. The awakening they are experiencing is not solely about reunion or reconciliation. It is about recognition, recognition of the soul's longing, recognition of the sacredness of what was shared, and recognition of the lessons they failed to see when time seemed easier to ignore. And when recognition occurs, the soul cannot remain stagnant. It must move, grow, and evolve. At 9 a.m., the seed of truth was planted in their heart, a seed that had been dormant, waiting for the moment of awareness. Seeds take time to grow. Roots reach deep before the shoot appears. And so, while you may sense the stirrings of change, remember that its growth will be precise, purposeful, and timed exactly as it should be. Your patience is not passive, it is the fertile ground in which transformation takes root. They may feel a rush of emotions, longing, sadness, confusion, and hope. All of this is natural. But let them feel without pushing, without forcing, without expecting. The awakening of the heart is delicate, it cannot be hurried by human desire. My guidance moves in ways unseen, aligning hearts, intentions, and circumstances so that when reunion, conversation, or understanding occurs, it does so without discord, without misunderstanding, and without fear. And you, stand firm in your center. Do not be shaken by the echoes of their heart, by their sudden awareness, or by fleeting thoughts of return. Your strength lies in your clarity. Your peace lies in your alignment with truth. And your readiness lies in your recognition that what is meant for you will arrive fully formed, complete, and unburdened by what was once broken. At 9 a.m., they began to feel not just regret but longing, a longing for understanding, for reconciliation, for the harmony that only truth can bring. And yet, longing is only the first step. Reflection must follow. Humility must follow. Courage must follow. And when these steps align, the soul moves into a space where miracles, reconciliation, and profound clarity become possible. Do not confuse this stirring in their heart with certainty. Human hearts are fragile, and emotions are easily swayed. But do recognize the importance of this moment. It is the threshold of awakening, the doorway to insight, and the beginning of a journey that will shape both of your paths in ways unseen, yet deeply significant. They will confront memories they tried to forget, decisions they cannot undo, and truths they cannot escape. And in this confrontation, I am present. I am guiding, I am comforting, and I am illuminating what is hidden. You, too, are being guided, strengthened, and prepared for the arrival of clarity and understanding. Your journey is intertwined with theirs, yet each step you take is sacred and autonomous. At 9 a.m., the past and the present collided, not violently, but tenderly, as if time itself paused to allow hearts to reckon with truth. And in this collision, both recognition and reflection were born. They began to see not just you, but themselves, their fears, their pride, their misunderstandings, and the patterns that had led to separation. And here is the sacred truth: separation is rarely punishment, it is revelation. It is a mirror reflecting what needs healing, what needs forgiveness, and what needs realignment. And in this reflection, they began to understand what love truly requires: honesty, patience, humility, and the courage to honor both their soul and yours. At 9 a.m., they remembered the moments they overlooked, the words they never said, and the choices they thought inconsequential but were in fact pivotal. And in that remembrance, a subtle transformation began. Hearts do not change overnight, but they can awaken in an instant, guided by reflection, remorse, and divine inspiration. You, too, are part of this transformation. Your growth, patience, and unwavering faith have prepared you for this moment. Do not be anxious for resolution. Do not be hurried by desire. What is meant for you will not arrive incomplete. It will come in fullness, in alignment with divine timing, and in a manner that honors all the lessons, the endurance, and the faith you have cultivated. At 9 a.m., the first tremors of truth stirred their soul. And every tremor, no matter how small, is a call to honesty, a call to action, and a call to courage. They will be challenged to confront themselves fully. They will be called to forgive, not just others, but themselves. And in this challenge, I am with them. I am with you. And I am with the unfolding of this sacred moment. Do not fear the waiting. Do not despair in the uncertainty. Patience is a spiritual practice, and faith is the foundation upon which the greatest transformations are built. What is stirring in their heart will continue to evolve, guided by the principles of truth, divine alignment, and the sacred rhythm of life that orchestrates all things unseen. At 9 a.m., when they felt the echo of your presence, it was not simply memory, they were feeling the weight of consequence, the call of truth, and the longing of a soul recognizing what it had neglected. And in this feeling, they began the journey toward clarity, understanding, and the possibility of reconciliation or elevated understanding beyond reunion. Your role is sacred, to be steady, compassionate, and aligned with truth. Do not allow their stirring to disrupt your peace or your path. Instead, observe, reflect, and trust that what is meant to unfold will do so perfectly, in divine rhythm, and with the wisdom that only comes from alignment with the higher plan. At 9 a.m., a doorway opened within their soul, a doorway that had been closed by pride, misunderstanding, and fear. And as doors open, the light of awareness floods in. They will not fully understand it yet, but the light has entered, and nothing can obscure it forever. What they feel now is the beginning, not the end, the spark, not the flame, the whisper, not the declaration. You, too, are part of this sacred awakening. Your growth, your resilience, and your faith have prepared you to meet what comes not with desperation, but with clarity, not with fear, but with courage, not with longing, but with alignment. The universe moves in precision, and your readiness ensures that what is to arrive will be received with wisdom, grace, and discernment. At 9 a.m., the first true stirrings of reflection touched their heart. They began to see the patterns, the consequences, and the truths they had avoided. And as they see, they feel, not just regret, but possibility. Possibility to act differently, to love more fully, to recognize the sacred nature of connection, and to align themselves with what is meant to be. And so, you must wait, not in doubt, but in trust. Wait in strength, not in fear. Wait in patience, not in despair. For all that has begun at 9 a.m. will continue to unfold with precision. Hearts will awaken, souls will recognize, and the path that is meant for both of you will be revealed, perfectly aligned with truth, purpose, and divine will. This is the message I bring to you, that at 9 a.m., a stirring began, a stirring of reflection, awakening, and recognition. And from this moment forward, nothing will remain the same. Hearts will be tested, truths will emerge, and clarity will illuminate paths that once seemed uncertain. But all of this unfolds under my guidance, in my timing, and with the intention of aligning all things for the highest good. So remain steadfast. Remain patient. Remain faithful. The universe is at work. Your soul is prepared. And the unfolding that began at 9 a.m. will continue to reveal its purpose, its lessons, and its blessings, until all things are revealed in perfect clarity. At 9 a.m., a moment was born that carries consequences far beyond what the human mind can grasp. It is the intersection of memory and revelation, of regret and awakening, of separation and the possibility of return. And in this sacred moment, both of you are being prepared for what is still to come, a future not defined by what was lost, but by what can be known, embraced, and cherished in truth. Trust this process. Trust the timing. Trust the heart. And above all, trust that I am present, guiding, illuminating, and orchestrating all that is needed for healing, understanding, and the unfolding of divine purpose. The story does not end here. It is only beginning. And as it unfolds, know that love, truth, patience, and divine wisdom will guide every step, every choice, and every heartbeat. What is meant for you cannot be denied, delayed, or diminished. It will arrive. It will awaken. It will transform. At 9 a.m., the first whisper was heard. And now, the echo continues, growing, expanding, and guiding all hearts toward what is sacred, true, and eternally aligned. Amen.